visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today. SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need, we can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am Naomi Macnish. So this morning I have some news updates from around the world to share, starting with health and human development. What if adulthood begins later than we've always believed? A new study says adolescence may actually extend well into your early 30s. Take a look at this video.
Welcome back to BBC News. Let's turn to a fascinating story because scientists in the UK have established that the brain ages through 5 distinct stages of our lifetimes. The study from the University of Cambridge has shed new light on the way that the brain ages, with 5 distinct phases identified in case studies who've lived into their 90s. Neuroscientists found that our adolescent stage lasts until our early 30s, when our brains rewire to become adult. Well, let's talk to Alexa Mosley, who led this research. And Doctor, welcome here to the programme. This is absolutely fascinating. So 5 distinct stages. Tell me a little more about what you've discovered here, when those stages actually begin and end.
Yes, so we were looking at infancy all the way through 90 years old. And past work has shown us that connections change over time. Some strengthen and some weaken. But we lacked an understanding of if there's a pattern to this rewiring, and that's what we're showing here. There's a non-linear change across development, so it's not that the brain continues on one steady progression throughout life. There's actually fluctuations that are happening, and what we find is that there's major turning points in how the brain is rewiring that happen around 9, 32, 66, and 83 years old.
I was fascinated with the adolescent stage because, as you rightly just said, 9 to 32, I think you just said, that was much longer than I thought was probably happening.
Yes, there are amazing adolescent researchers who have been suggesting that adolescence might extend longer than we previously thought, all the way up into the mid-20s. And what we're showing here is essentially that the path or the pattern of rewiring in the brain is continuous all the way up until 32 years old.
And what do you mean by rewiring? So you have these distinct stages. What is actually happening to the brain?
quite a lot, to be honest, and it's different in each one of the phases, but we can essentially look at the brain like a map, the way you look at something like a road map. And we can quantify things like how efficient it is, the same way you'd think about how efficient it is for you to get from one place to another, a short and direct path. And so we're quantifying how the brain is changing in relation to these organizational metrics like efficiency. So for example, from infancy until about 9 years old, the brain is actually decreasing in efficiency, and that switches around 9 years old and begins a progression of increasing efficiency until about 32 years old.
It is all absolutely fascinating. In terms of what you do with this new knowledge, I see that you're particularly interested in mental disorders that people have perhaps before the age of 25. Am I right? And tell me why this potentially helps.
Yeah, so this project looked at the whole lifespan, and it sets an understanding of what we'd expect the brain to be doing throughout all of these different phases, and that will hopefully lead us into future work that will help us understand why the brain is more vulnerable to certain things at different points in time. A great example of that is mental health, as you just said. About 2/3 of people who will develop a mental health disorder do so before the age of 25. And what we show is that the brain is reorganizing in the same pattern from 9 to 32. So hopefully this sets some expectations of what a healthy typical brain could look like, and we can ask future questions as to why might the brain be more vulnerable to developing mental health disorders during this period of time.
Well, it is absolutely fascinating, Dr. Alexa Mosley. Thank you so much for joining us and explaining some of that here live on the program.
So that was interesting. Researchers from global health and psychology institutions say the traditional idea that adolescence ends at 18 is very much outdated. So their findings show that major brain development, emotional regulation, and social maturity continue into your late 20s and sometimes even early 30s. And this study also argues that society, from education to workplace, need to adjust to this extended developmental period. Scientists also says that the transition to adulthood is now longer than at any other point in history due to economic pressures, delayed independence, and slower biological maturation. But that when I saw that, I actually found it to be very, very, it was shocking to say, because what I also learned recently is that when you turn 25, your brain, your frontal lobe is now fully developed, right? That was also a study that was done. And so seeing this now, there's more going into how much more do we have to, or does our cognitive function have to develop the older we get? Because you always hear that the older you get, is when you begin to decline, or you go into, So the fact that you could continue to go through adolescence up and straight through into your early 30s, well, that a lot of people, we have to adapt to the concept of that, because now we have to be more understanding, more empathetic to individuals, to young adults, especially in tertiary education, even in workplace young adults who have jobs and these various things. Because when you look at the young adults as well who are parents, young parents, well, that's another aspect that I think would be interesting to look at based on research. So next we're looking at China. China launches a spaceship to bring stuck astronauts back home. Every time we have any sort of space updates or space news, it's always interesting to see. So China's launched this rescue mission on its own. Take a look.
China has launched a spacecraft to allow them to bring 3 astronauts stuck in the country's space station back to Earth. The unmanned Shenzhou 22 wasn't supposed to be launched until next April, but the crew on the Tiangong space station currently have no way of returning home if there was an emergency because an earlier launch vehicle was declared unfit to fly after its window was cracked by suspected space debris. Well, Chinese state TV showed the 3 astronauts on board closely watching the launch. Space officials still have to work out how to handle the damaged vessel. Some experts have suggested it could be undocked from Tiangong and deorbited over the Pacific. Well, our China correspondent Stephen McDonald says that there's a sense of relief all round after the successful launch.
Less concerned now than they were before today's successful launch. I mean, perhaps what I should do is just go through the sequence of events so people understand what's happened. There were 3 astronauts on the Tiangong station, and they've got their vessel ready to go back. Along comes the next crew. They dock at the station, shake hands, see you later, time for you to take over, we're out of here. But unfortunately, their vessel that they were supposed to use to go home in had been hit by a bit of debris, apparently, possibly space junk, something along those lines, potentially smashing a window. So they had no way to use that vehicle to go home. They took the new crew's vessel back, leaving the new crew up there with no way of returning to Earth. Now, in a way, it's not so worrying because they're not due to come back till next April. But what if there's an emergency? What if something went wrong with the Tiangong space station? What if one of them had an injury or something like that and they've got to get out of there? They would be feeling much better today because what's happened is a rocket has taken off from Western China and a new module has now successfully docked on the station, giving them the ability to return home next year. As for the broken vessel, well, there are 2 possibilities apparently. Even to get it back to Earth, it has to be repaired. There's some talk of just taking it off the station and cutting it loose in space because it's occupying one of the docking stations. The problem with that, of course, is that that's yet another piece of space junk, and remember that it could be something like that which is hit this capsule in the first place, which has damaged it and rendered it unusable. But either way, it's good news for those 3 astronauts, or taikonauts as they're sometimes referred to here. I'm sure they'd be much happier knowing they've got a way out of there as of tonight.
Well, thanks to Stephen.
So, as you would have heard, this was a successful launch. China sending their spacecraft to return 2 astronauts who have been stranded on its Tiangong space station after a technical glitch delayed their scheduled trip home. The replacement spacecraft was launched from Jiaquan Satellite Launch Center and is expected to dock with the station within the next 48 hours. Officials say the astronauts are safe and they have sufficient supplies and continued routine scientific work while awaiting for the rescue mission. I think this raises questions about, the usual questions that we've seen various rocket launches into space and humans actually going into space. So it raises the question whether or not humans can actually go into space. So a lot of the debates around the myths or the whether or not these missions are real, and we'll never actually know just know what they tell us. Similarly to when the Katy Perry, when the women went to space and they released videos, everybody had a problem with those videos looking fake. It looked like as though it was a green screen. So we don't actually know what it is. We don't actually know how far into space they are. And again, people will have questions, you know, but as long as, I guess, they're safe, and I can follow the story and see once the astronauts are back home, what research they actually went for, what they got, what they brought back, etc. So we'll see. Moving swiftly along, this is in West Africa. The Nigerian government is facing mounting pressures, kidnappings surge across several states. So we can look at this video now.
Activists have accused Nigerian authorities of ignoring a kidnapping crisis and have called for the rescue of students abducted in the north last week. The Christian Association in Niger State says that more than 300 were kidnapped when gunmen stormed a Catholic boarding school on Friday. So let's cross over to my colleague Mayeni Jones, who's in the capital of Niger State. And Mayeni, what do we know about the whereabouts of the children? Because yesterday there was some confusion over the 50 who had managed to escape.
Yes, there seems to be conflicting numbers, with the local authorities saying that they're not aware of these 50 additional students that the school and the Christian Association say have been freed. But that might well be because the village that they were taken from, Papiri, is incredibly remote. It takes 9 hours, almost a day's drive, to get to from where we are here in Mina, across very dangerous roads. Colleagues from the World Service were able to make it there with great difficulty, but information is hard to trickle out. We reached out to some parents in the village yesterday. Very often phone lines aren't working, so it might explain why there's some misunderstanding as to exactly how many students are still missing. But what we do know is that a search and rescue operation is on the way. Police officers have now been redeployed all over the country, away from protecting VIPs towards core policing duties. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has asked for an additional 30,000 police officers to be recruited in order to deal with this situation. The authorities say that they're doing everything they can, but they have been criticized by a number of factions, including the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movements. They released an open letter to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday saying that this isn't just an isolated set of kidnappings, that this is a systematic issue in Nigeria that's been ongoing for the past 11 years, and saying that more needs to be done beyond closing school and recruiting police officers. There needs to be a more cohesive and a better security strategy to stop these kind of kidnappings from happening.
And parents must be incredibly desperate to find their children, but this is having an impact on wider boarding schools across the country.
Absolutely. A number of boarding schools here in northwest Nigeria have, a number of governments, have asked their boarding schools and schools in general to shut down until the security situation is restituted. We don't know when that will be. And the reality is this is a problem that's been going on for a long while and that's causing a lot of anxiety right across the country, not just here in the north. Just this morning, the state police in Lagos, in the south of the country, the economic heartland of Nigeria, announced that they would be beefing up security at schools, at worship places, at public institutions, because there is this nationwide concern over the state of security. So the activists of Bring Back Our Girls say closing schools is not the solution. More needs to be done, but it's not clear that the government yet has a comprehensive strategy for this.
Mayeni Jones in Mina, the capital of Niger State. As always, thank you so much for that update.
Now, parents, activists and civil society groups are calling for urgent action after this spike in abductions, particularly targeting school children. These armed groups, often referred to as bandits, they have carried out multiple kidnappings in the last few weeks, demanding a ransom and overwhelming security forces. It is reported that the majority of the kidnappings followed with a ransom request. The government says it is strengthening military operations and intelligence efforts, but critics argue that the response has been slow and ineffective. This is nothing new to Nigeria. Nigeria has faced waves of kidnapping crisis for more than a decade, but many analysts have said, or they warned, that this surge is one of the most alarming in recent years. So I want to move on to our last update. This one is regional. And it's some good news, I think. Jamaica's four-man bobsled team wins gold at the North American Cup. So you can look at this video now.
Welcome back to Primetime Sports Monday. Jamaica took top podium at the North American Cup circuit in Whistler, Canada, as the four-man bobsleigh team of Shane Pitter, Andre Dakers, Junior Harris, and former national 100-meter champion Taekwondo Tracy raced to gold on Monday. The quartet put together a combined time of 1 minute 45.88 seconds to take the gold medal. They finished ahead of Canada, who clocked 1 minute 46.19 seconds for second.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, the pilot did everything we're supposed to do. I mean, in everything we do, we can make it better, and that is what we seek to do. So for right now, we just take this as another learning part of the process to just get better and do more going forward.
I just want to say, without these guys, I wouldn't be at first place. We wouldn't be at first place. So I'm really happy, and it was more of a focus thing for me, so I just try to focus on my line as best as possible, and that's when I actually get the goal.
Jamaica's performance follows on the heels of the historic bronze medal won on Sunday.
Now, that is something that is very, very impressive. So Jamaica's four-man bobsled team, they took gold. This is the North American Cup in Whistler, Canada. And this obviously marked one of their strongest performances in years. The team clocked an impressive time against competitors from the US and Canada, and this just shows Jamaica's resilience and legacy in defying expectations in various sports, and now winter sports. And it's interesting to see that an island nation here in the Caribbean succeeded and excelled in a winter sport. Coaches say the victory boosts their confidence heading into the next qualification cycle for the Winter Olympics. And many people from around the world also congratulating them on the win and calling it a true Cool Runnings moment. It's a play on words. All right, so that brings us to the end of this little segment this morning with these news updates from around the world. We're going to take a quick break now. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Win a brand new ride for Christmas in a 3-car raffle organized on behalf of Queens Royal College. Merry Christmas! First prize is a luxurious, fully loaded big ride Ford Ranger. Draw date Saturday, December 20th at the school. Tickets only $100. All proceeds for the further uplifting of the school. Tickets available from teachers, parents, alumni, and of the school. Also nationwide at all branches of True Value, Reliable Appliances, Christina Shoe Store, Kenny Sports, Unique Bookstore, Extra Foods, JTA Supermarkets, Police Credit Union, ABC Home Center, The Trinity Shop, PRW Enterprises, Sharon Bookstores, Miguel Moses and Sons, Ishmael Khan and Sons, Modern Electrical, Crosby St. James, Attorleys by the Park, Tribe, Mass Carnival, Cinnamon Drug Sangre Grande, Bellini Truck San Fernando, Ronnie and Carol Maraval Road, IslandEtickets.com. For more info, call the college at 622-1671 or the hotline at 491-1802. Queens Royal College, 3-car raffle.
It's Christmas time, and with your family you'll spend every evening watching a movie on WESN. The classics that fill your heart with merriment and cheer as we celebrate together the most wonderful time of the year.
This is my island in December.
This Christmas, WESN celebrates with you as the content capital brings the big screen classics. Gather your family and tune in to WESN from December 1st to 31st at 8 p.m. nightly for We Christmas Movie Classics.
Santa's coming to town. Oh my God!
Santa here? I know him. I know him.
Only on WESN, Content Capital.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1, find the style number on the tag. Step 2, match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3, search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
Welcome back to AM Prime this morning. So we're joined this morning by pastry chef Nazim Bash, whose journey went from a petrogen plant operator to internationally trained gourmet baker. After the refinery's closure, he followed a passion he carried since childhood, taking him all the way to Paris, Dubai, and across Latin America to master advanced pastry techniques. So today I welcome Chef Nazim Bash and to speak about his journey and his incredible creations. Good morning, Nazim.
Hey, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So that was a play on words there because your bakery in South is Incredible Creations.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah. So let's just go back a bit. Think back to when the refinery closed. What was the first real push for you to say, okay, it's time to do this, take this baking thing seriously, and then you went for it?
Well, you know, after the closure of the state-owned enterprise, and that had changed a lot of, you know, your mental thinking. Because then and there, you know, things was a little bit kind of unstable. So for my diversification is where, you know, we started to look at new opportunities that could generate that network of income that you would have actually would like to have, you know, a consistency of that. So moving forward into culinary is when my dad was diagnosed with diabetes. And it was a little bit kind of challenging for him to actually get something to actually eat after he returned from the doctor. So that's where that whole fundamental drive starts. But before to that, at home, you know, we are, you know, the top chefs at home. On a Sunday, we compete among our siblings who, you know, just little Sunday lunch and little small dessert setting. So from that, you know, we have that embedded in us already. Thanks to our parents, especially our mom and dad, that they actually kind of root that into us. So from there, moving forward from Petrotrin, it started that new element in life where it becomes so interesting. Every day you learn something in terms of, we started with the gluten-free products, and that had elevated into the science of baking. I was fortunate enough to work alongside two food scientists. When the COVID hit, you know, it was a little bit restricted for people to visit the country. And coming on from the oil and gas, with that fundamental background of, you know, science, it actually correlates with the science of baking now. And that kind of pushed me further to actually elevate, because every day it becomes much more interesting. So from then and there, it actually gave you that motivation now, because you want to learn something new. So I, you know, we had challenges during the day where it was set out for us to do little thesis and get the findings and send the data because of the restrictions. So that's how I actually find myself into baking and getting myself much more advanced. Coming from my industrial background, you know, we put everything and we give it 100% best.
So you mentioned about your father having diabetes and having to create certain meals or recipes to accommodate for his new diet.
Yes, it is.
How has that shaped the way you approach food now, with all the knowledge and things you've learned?
Well, personally, for myself, it changed my diet a lot. I restrict myself from having certain meals now, certain desserts now, because you actually understand what culinary is about now, what is prohibited, what is not, religiously as well. I follow Islam. So that gave me a wider knowledge and understanding now where the food industry is. So you'll become more particular in eating now, because you understand what is there and what is good and what is, you know, you could be able to consume moderate.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me a little more eye-opener now, especially in culinary, and seeing that you can actually eat your food as a medicine, as you could say, local terms, and from there you could be able to graft a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah. Now, I mean, people look at pastries or pretty pastries, and they don't always see the amount of work that goes into it or the chemistry behind how these desserts are made. What blew your mind most about what when you started studying food science? What blew your mind most about various pastries?
It started with incremental stages where, you started the master of, regular basic, just a basic pastry or basic sponge cake, if you want to use, for example. And then from there, you elevate into fillings, and then you elevate into chocolate, and then you elevate into glazes, and then you elevate it into fine dining plated, right? So that's how it is. So it didn't happen like overnight in just one hall. It happens slowly, where it actually becomes very interesting because you want to learn the other module while you already has introduced to the first stage or the first part in pastry making.
Yeah.
So it's always about the technique. It's always about that feeling, that good, that, somebody gave you that little pat on the back. Hey, it was exceptionally well, it's decent good. So you always want to elevate. So with motivation from yourself, consistency, determination, that is what actually make you a better person actually to elevate as well.
Yeah. Now, what is a common baking myth that you wish Trinbagonians would just forget?
Well, that's a thing that we inherit knowledge from the foreparents, and that's the best recipe. So we stuck with that in our mind, and typically, we have the best homemade bread that would have been, passed on from generations. And yes, it's a good inheritance from your foreparents. But lo and behold, it is a good practice, but the techniques, we just need to just change our technique. So getting people to understand that, it might be a little hard for it to break that myth, to change the technique.
Yeah, and I think when like how you spoke about bread, I think we in Trinidad we don't realize the difference between using actual butter and margarine. So I think that's something that in most households, because we grew up having Blue Band, and Blue Band is not actual butter.
And yes, but it's classed as butter.
Yeah.
Butter, yeah, Blue Band
And
butter,
in
yes.
most, if not all recipes growing up, that was a staple in every household, right?
Yes, it is.
But so you did not stick to local classes when you started your studies and to further your education in culinary, in your culinary skills. Why did you decide to go international? What was the point that made you say, no, I need to venture out further. I need to, sharpen my skills on a world-class or international level?
There is one word to define that: determination. You always want to find out what is next, and you are determined to find yourself and elevate further because you want to know. So when I first went in a cake store, I actually walked in a cake store right in our local area here, and I told the attendant that I am lost. I am here. I'm just playing fast. And she gave me a contact number for my first cake teacher. And I enrolled that same day. And I went in the class with a among of ladies, and they said, "Oh, I'm just fooling them because I could bake," but I didn't have a fair clue of how to make a cake. But coming from the industrial background, and certain boyhood traits, it actually started to kind of filter into cakes. So that had stemmed more of that line in my life. So from there, it elevated to go to local content. Then I started to go to other more qualified chefs in Trinidad. And from there, you elevate into a little more, more gourmet desserts and styles. And then from there, you started to take up the international offers. And then you could see what your life could change dramatically from 0 to 100 in less than no time. So I started to venture the opportunities elsewhere, and where you actually grasp different knowledge, different technique, different styles, and that inspired you because you want to be that person who could be able to give and produce something that will attract and give you that clientele as well. So that's why I go all out. So once I put my mind to something, I go 100% out of it.
Yeah, and it's not something you see often. So again, you are attracting that, it's something different. People will go toward different or something that they've never had before. I saw in the article that you trained under Amari Gouchon. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Yes.
But for those that do not know, he is a well-known, basically a chocolate architect. He creates these insane pieces and sculptures completely out of chocolate. How was that experience working under him, seeing what he does face to face? Have you tried to create things of your own? What was that experience
Well,
like?
actually, before I was inducted and enrolled in the Chef Amori's culinary institution, I had to do some thesis before I could actually get myself prepped for that class, especially in terms of chocolate. So that would have actually took me to some training in the South American region. Prior to that, I was denied my US visa on 5 counts.
Oh gosh.
And I was so determined to actually get into the class. So I did not stop. And working alongside Amori with all the technicalities and all the science and all the training that you get from him, it is one of the best culinary training that you could ever everybody would like to have.
What was
So
that?
that broaden your whole knowledge, your skill set, your mindset, everything. Where you think that it can't happen, it will happen in culinary.
What surprised you most about dealing with chocolate?
One thing I will say that you don't play with what you love. Everybody loves chocolate.
Yeah.
But actually playing with it and using it to sculpt and craft, it's a bit difficult. And in terms of the technicality in chocolate tempering, you have to be very precise in your temperature controls in order to get your end result to the perfection.
Right. Now, in terms of taking your international techniques and even recipes and tying it into our local recipes, the hops bread, the coconut drops or rolls or currants rolls, all these various items that Trinis love. How do you, I guess, tie that into the local recipes to, make it something that people would enjoy, and it's something that's a reminiscence of, growing up?
Right. So, as a pastry chef, you for your natives, you have to be versatile. So, saying that I traveled to the more Southeast Asian, we have different culinary cuisine, then into the American, into the France, and I travel a lot into the Caribbean islands as well. And you as a chef, you need to design what is in their favor. So different countries, you have to understand their taste, their flavor, and what is actually what they will prefer. So you would not take cuisine from France and bring it into Trinidad, because some people may not appreciate that flavor. And in Trinidad, we are accustomed to soft crust bread. More in France, it's more the crusty top bread. So you ought to try to balance that part, the likables, for your local content.
Yeah.
And different flavors. We like high spices. Internationally, they are just more mild, citric, tropical fruits. In Trinidad, it is abundant, but we would like to have fruits from abroad. So that's where make your versatility as a chef to actually get that flavor in, that flavor profile. So you could be able to distinguish, different elements in pastry, so you can actually attract your clientele.
Right. Now, as you said this, I just want to make a quick mention. The first time I met Nazim, I went to his bakery in Pinal, and I tried a macaron. And
yes,
we had a very long, extensive conversation. He explained to me, because I thought the macaron was undercooked, and he explained the science behind what makes a macaron, and the texture and the time and the baking period and all these various things. Like, it was very long and extensive, but it helped me to understand that, because in Trinidad, you see, macarons is not something that is, I think, unusual to Trinidad. We know what it is. We've seen it. It's an expensive dessert. But in other places, you get, because like he said, right, we like what we like.
A lot of people refer macaron as a cookie.
As a cookie, and when you think of a cookie, you think of something you can bite down on. It's crunchy, or, it has a good bite. But what Nazim explained to me was macarons are, the texture in it, it's soft and gooey. And
so let me explain it back to you. So, as you rightfully said, you stood in the car and you was like, chef, this undercooked. So I clearly remember that. And it's like, a lot of people have a misconception on what a macaron is. And a macaron is a very technical dessert that not everybody could be able to do it and execute it the right way. Yes, I must say it has some, home bakers, they try. I must say, you give people credit for that. But the true concept of having a macaron is a macaron. Yes, it's French, and it's have different stages where a macaron will evolve. So first, you make the macaron shell. And if you consume the macaron shell just right after it finished baked, it's going to be crunchy. But that maturing stage of a macaron, where you put the filling on the inside, where actually it matures with that. So you will get the nice, soft, chewy texture on the inside. And on the outside have to be crusty. And you'll get that shell, you'll get that crunch on the outside. So that's why you think it was actually raw on the inside. But you have to be mindful, it's that a lot of people do the wrong filling on the inside. So for the local market and the local clientele, they may not understand quite well what the inside is supposed to be consist of. So a lot of people might use the wrong filling, and you having a crunchiness go straight through. But macarons is mainly ganache inserts, and that's how it tastes together. A lot of people use buttercream and whatever other fillings. I don't know.
And it makes the macaron extremely heavy, but the buttercream, I think, is the most popular local way to
because of
filling.
terms of cost and price. So that's why it have little flicks with with professional baking versus home bakers, and that's why pricing as well could be a little bit different, especially if you are a professional baker. You will use all the proper ingredients, and a lot of people don't understand that sometimes you may think you get something at a lower cost, but it may not be the better of the ingredients that you would want to consume.
Right. Now, I want to talk about, mindset and discipline, because you said, don't bake when your mood is off, because this can affect, your just the product itself, right? So how do you keep yourself motivated or passionate when you're in the kitchen, when you're, when nothing seems to go right? For example, you're making a macaron and the temperature is off, or you're making a chocolate dessert. And
well, for me, I do things differently. It may not be applicable to the other chefs, but I follow Islam. And for me, it's all about faith and prayer. So, if something not working out right, you just take a break and you put it aside and you go and you actually get a different frame of mind, and then come back into it. Because if you constantly try behind something that you're not getting, it is going to be a disaster at the end. So it also states that, you bake from your heart. And if it is that you don't have a clean energy at that time, definitely sure it's going to reflect. So you need to control that part as a chef, and you will know if you're ready to approach it. So if you have that mindset and you train yourself from the beginning and you don't go into it knowing that you're not up for it, just give it a break and come back.
Yeah.
Definitely sure it will happen, because you're going to spend more time trying to figure it out, while you could have just take a 10 minutes rest and come back to it and finish it.
When we look at young chefs, or young persons who want to become a chef, a pastry chef one day, what would be your piece of advice? That for someone who, actually no. Before we get to that, I want to ask the difference between cute baking and serious pastry artistry. So, because many young chefs get distracted by social media trends. There's a lot of social media trends on baking, or quick baking, easy baking, a lot of tips and shortcuts, right? To bake bread or desserts. What is your take on that? Because I don't know if you've seen any of these baking trends.
Well, first I could say, we have a lot of social media certifications.
Yeah.
And a lot of people certified on the social media and thinks that, they have it down pat. Which is, some people less fortunate, they may not be able to travel, they may not be able to have the financial resources, fine. Yes, it may have the pros and the cons, but you're missing the 5 senses, and the 5 senses is feel, touch, scent, smell. So you cannot really get to know if your product is really there. Because if you're missing the 5 senses, the texture, the scent, you will know. So versus 100%, interaction, training versus social media networking.
Yeah.
That is the element you miss. Yeah. And you may not know, or you may not be aware of it, but you may serve a product to some other to a client. It may a little bit under, it might be overdone. And in your eyes, presentation is the key element at that point.
Yeah.
So once it's social media certified, you only focus on the final image and presentation.
Yeah.
But you will miss all the elements that correlate to that.
Yeah, I understand. That's because you're not going to know what it's supposed to feel like, taste like, smell like, and you made this thing, and you're like, well, it looks the same. But is it the same?
So I will give you just one example. For the Diwali Nagar, we did the Dubai trending croissants.
Right.
And croissants is one of the more technical pastry that we could actually, any chef will have a little bit of restrictions to really go for. And making the fillings and the pistachios, the fillings and whatever, we actually made that from scratch. So we could actually take the peanuts, like pistachio, and make our pralines with it. And then from there, we convert it into the pistachio paste, and then make the takaffi and the the canafe, merge the two together, and we make the fillings. So seeing that, before I could actually do that presentation for that event, we didn't put together that whole complete item or that dessert, and we didn't have a taste testing before I go out there to sell. And it was like, you know, just your mind, you put together, you pair the flavors together. And on the final day of the Diwali Nagar, I actually taste that after, at that point. And I didn't taste it at the beginning.
Wow.
Because I was so confident that I know how the flavors going to pair. So that's what make you, once you know that you taste and because that bring you back to the same interaction training that you will have with a one-on-one via the social media networking.
Yeah.
So you will know how the flavors would pair. So seeing that I actually on the final day then taste the product. When we sell countless of that croissants.
That's a big risk.
Yeah. No, it's not a risk. It's just a matter, you know what you're about.
Yeah.
You know what your flavor profile is. So you could be able to visualize that, think it, and execute it before the product finish.
Yeah. Now, when you look at Trinidad and Tobago's pastry industry or baking industry, where do you hope to see it go in the future? Or where would you like to take it in the future?
Well, 2026, I have some new innovation, which is training that would have done like maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start to execute that in 2026. I actually doing a pop-up event at C3 from the 5th of December till the 31st. And moving forward in 2026, I have some new chocolate sculpting innovations coming up for the Valentine weekend. I have a lot of new items that I want to actually bring to Trinidad, and it will be the first, I guarantee that it will be the first type of dessert will be executed for Valentine weekend.
Right. That pop-up in December, that's this month, December coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the 5th.
December 5th. So that will just be the introduction of, I using that 1 month just for the feasibility. So, and then from there I will actually tabulate that result from there, and then from there we'll be able to know what I will actually want to plan for 2026.
Yeah.
Also, I was selected to be one of the head judge for Caribbean Bake Off in 2026, July, at the St. Martin Cake Bake Off.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. If you have a flyer or anything for the pop-up or for any of your future endeavors, you can always send to us, and we will gladly put that up.
Most definitely. I am actually working on that at the moment. So I wanted to actually do the digital flyers, so to be able to do that post and create that attraction as well.
Yeah, of course. So we're gonna wrap up shortly, but I have like 2 more questions. So what is the pastry that best represents your journey so far for you personally? What is that one pastry that really is, this is Nazim?
That is featuring for 2026, and that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna signature that particular module in pastry.
Right.
And that will be chocolate sculpture. I trained for that field, and it don't have any other should I say pastry chef actually majoring in chocolate sculpting. So that's my new 2026 resolution.
Yeah.
We are in the chocolates and sugar bluing.
Right.
So it's a whole different line in pastries. Seeing that, the trending candy apple, where everybody knows candy apple, but it's the wrong name. That's the Pitigato and Antromed models. That's where, that's the frozen desserts, what is trending right now. That's, so I want to kind of I want to elevate that a little higher. So that's what I'm actually going to do in 2026.
Right. Do you plan at all to teach other young, upcoming chefs?
Well, I am one of the exclusive chefs for National Flour Mills. We have collaborations that, yes, we are putting together a little training in different elements in pastry. Moving forward to that, yes, I would like to have that knowledge shared, and I will have little short courses.
Yeah.
I will offer that. I also have a team building package that I will have for companies as well, and I for recreating. So you can be able to get a service from me. Yes, I am actually looking forward for that in 2026 as well.
Okay, nice. So finally, for somebody who's listening that they want to pursue this career path, but they're not sure how to go about it, or they're scared to take a leap of faith into furthering their skills training, what is one piece of advice that you'd give?
When you go into something, it's either you're in or you're out. You can't be partially there. So if your mind is leading you into culinary or any future endeavor, you go with a 100% clean, straight mind. We go for it. We don't hesitate. And with that hesitation, your self-esteem, that part of you, you will not grow that part of you. And once you have that determination, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Go for it. Once you start that step and once you start that journey, it will unfold, and you will find that door that you can be able to without thinking. Getting yourself in there. Just remember, it's the basic requirement.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Nazim, for that, and for coming on the program this morning and sharing your journey and your knowledge, imparting some of your knowledge with us here at WESN. Yeah. Okay, I think I kind of lost you a bit. The audio went out just slightly, but I think that is something on our end. Yeah, it seems to be the internet, but that's okay. We will chat, and once you get the flyer for the pop-up, because I think that is something that people will be very much interested in, you can send it and we'll put it up. So thanks again for joining me on the program. I enjoyed the conversation a lot, and yeah, do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
All right. So today is Wild Wednesday, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for that coming up next. We'll be right back.
Win a brand new ride for Christmas in a 3-car raffle organized on behalf of Queen's Royal College. First prize is a luxurious, fully loaded big ride Ford Ranger. Draw date Saturday, December 20th at the school. Tickets only $100. All proceeds for the further uplifting of the school. Tickets available from teachers, parents, alumni, and of the school. Also nationwide at Mart, Liquor Palace, Diego Martin Main Road, Shamir, Uncle Beto, Santa Cruz, Better Deal Supermarket, Canopia, and Maranguez, Cans Liquor, Diego Martin Main Road, Ramsing Sports, Chaguanas and Cooper, Bobby's Bar Curette, Mirage Supermarket, Sangre Grande, West B Supermarket, Diego Martin and Tacarigua, Seals Bar, San Fernando, Payless Hardware, Diego Martin Main Road, Don's Roti, Pitti Valley, Mirage Westside Arima, Western Pharmacy next to St. James Police. Also at islandetickets.com. For more info, call the college at 622-1671 or the hotline at 491-1082. Queens Royal College 3-car raffle.
If these walls could talk, they'd cry uncle. They didn't plan to become offices or yoga studios. But they've stood by us, even when we got a little stir-crazy. For that, they deserve some thanks. They deserve Benjamin Moore.
It's Christmas time, and with your family you'll spend every evening watching a movie on WESN. The classics that fill your heart with merriment and cheer as we celebrate together the most wonderful time of the year.
This is my island in December.
This Christmas, WESN celebrates with you as the content capital brings the big screen classics. Gather your family and tune in to WESN from December 1st to 31st at 8 p.m. nightly for We Christmas Movie Classics.
Santa's coming to town! Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him! I know him!
Only on WESN, Content Capital.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar
Why? You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No.
Let's go to the last part.
Welcome back to the program this morning. Jada, it's Wild Wednesdays. We're so excited. This is always a segment we look forward to. So as usual, we have Mr. Ricardo Mead joining us on the program this morning, and a very special animal. So good morning, Mr. Mead. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies, and good morning to our listeners, followers, and peeps out there on the WWW. Welcome to Wild Wednesday. Yeah. It's always exciting.
Of course. So, what do we have today? What animal do we have today?
Not a what, it should be a who. Who is here today? Literally, who? Today we have India.
Oh.
India is a tropical screech owl. So let's see if we get India to come on set here and join us. And in fact, just
Hi, why would you do that?
right? So India is tethered, so Jada, you are safe.
Yes. But she can still fly.
But he is tethered, so you are
She can't
safe.
fly away.
Okay, I'll put it forward a little bit. There you go.
So the first thing I noticed, India is very tiny, very small.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Why? Well, they come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, literally. So India is one of the 8, possibly 9 owl species that are native to Trinidad and Tobago. It is actually the second smallest. So there is one even smaller.
Wow.
The smaller one being the pygmy owl, and one day we'll bring a pygmy on. India is a tropical screech owl. So it is actually one of the more popular ones in terms of, I wouldn't say sighting, but in terms of hearing. They're very difficult to see. They are very much nocturnal. And well, you don't have to worry about India. India gets fed whenever, so India doesn't have to hunt. And that is the main reason that they engage in their nocturnal activity. When their food's out is when they would come out. So their food would comprise of rats, mice, lizards, small snakes, roaches, crickets, mole crickets, locusts, anything like that, katydids, all the little critters that come in your house and make you scream and run out. Jada?
A locust seems like it would be much bigger than India.
Well, the smaller one, which is the pygmy, will destroy a locust that's almost twice its size.
Wow.
She's biting the thing that's holding
it's
her.
like on my leg, I will take it off now. You know,
What?
remember, she spends a lot of time without it. So when it goes on, she reacts a bit. And she likes to use her beak. Well, sorry, I'm saying she because everybody assuming the name India, it's a girl, it's actually a boy.
Oh.
All right, and well, the reason why the name India, we sometimes name our ambassadors based on the rescuer or the area which they were rescued. So we had a turtle named Sammy, was named after the rescuer was Sammy. We had a macaw named Lomas. It came from Las Lomas. And this guy, India, came from Indian Walk. So I started calling him Indian, and my wife, she's like, that doesn't sound too nice, you know, it sounds a little crude. Why don't you just call him India? Well, at that time we thought it was a female, you know, 50-50 chance, as you know. And well, it turned out to be, as it got older, we determined that it's a male. So his name is India.
What were the factors for determining that it was a male?
Size and the pelvic spread. The females have a larger pelvic region, as in humans, because they have to accommodate the passage, well, not of live birth, but in their case, of an egg. So it's kind of the same with just about all birds, the larger pelvic region. And it's a bit subjective, because it could be a big bird with a smaller region or a small bird with a large, you know, so it takes a lot of experience from palpitating the region where the egg would pass to tell if it's a male or female. So we did this, and he said, hey, watch where you put in your hands. I'm a little boy, and that's what it is. He's a boy.
How old is India?
India's coming up on, I think, 4 years now.
Oh, man, you a big boy.
So, yeah, he's
when
an
you
old guy
found India, was he a baby?
Yeah, he was a pre-fledgling. He got out of the nest before he should have gotten out of the nest. So we raised him, and he realized that he's a very good candidate for an ambassador. Actually, he was raised a bit wrong, to be honest. We only had him at the time, so a lot of his vocalization, and he makes 16 different sounds. But his vocalizations were aimed at people and mimicking when we spoke and stuff like that there. So he became a bit imprinted. That is something we avoid doing now, unless we definitely want, there's a reason that we're going to keep the animal, but imprinting is a definite no-no. So he thinks he's more of a person than an owl. though within recent time he has learned his language a whole lot efficiently because we've had so many of them come into the center. And they, at night, a lot of noises back and forth, they communicate. 16 different songs saying different things. We still haven't figured it out quite yet, but they are quite vocal at night and into the early morning. So he still prefers the company of humans.
Yeah.
And has been, yes, right. I don't know if you can pick that up, but yeah, he's making his little vocalization. I think he's actually even seen himself on the monitor there.
Honestly, I think so as well. You can see that he's personified himself a little bit because he has a very, his attitude, he's almost attitude.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's kind of, my first thought is, so he thinks he's a person, he's looking at himself and he's like, that's how I look?
Yeah.
I don't look like them.
Right. I think he's more like saying, that's a nice looking guy there.
Yeah, I'm way better looking than you are.
Yeah. Well, he has a mirror as part of his enrichment in his enclosure. So he's quite accustomed to just, yeah, I think my right side is my best side. Back to me this way. You know, and he kind of favors that a lot of times when you try to take the picture of him there. Or sometimes when he's just absolutely not interested. Owls have the ability to turn their heads 270
yes,
degrees.
I was going to ask about that because I saw he's turning his head and it looked like he has no neck, he has no...
Yeah.
Correct. So in order to see at night when they operate most of the times, because he is truly a nocturnal bird, his eyes are very large. And what that does is allow a lot of light to get in. Our eyes are very tiny compared to the size of our heads. So we are definitely not nocturnal. As soon as current go, the first thing you do is reach for your phone and body light. I can't see you, or the emergency light, come on. So that determines how our pattern should be. There's nocturnal. So with those large eyes, he doesn't have enough room in his head for muscles to move his eyes. So he couldn't be a Trini, especially a Trini woman. You know what Trini women we all specialize in, right?
Macron.
Rolling those eyes, moving those eyes. You know, if you don't believe it, go into licensing and ask a simple question. And the eye roll just make you feel so small and you want to kind of crawl back out sometimes. You know, I'm not picking on you licensing people. I'm just using you as an example. It's a lot of public servants, a lot of services actually in Trinidad and Tobago that do that. We actually do need to get way better with customer service. Yeah, that person in front of you is the reason you have a job. Okay, because if they didn't ask the question, we would need you and you would be home crocheting or something like that. So let's focus more on customer service. So that being said, no muscles to move the eye and roll the eye and all that kind of thing.
All he can do is this.
That attitude is serious.
Right, so they need to, he would stay on a pole. So this is his life. Gets up 6 o'clock in the evening, stretch, yawn, oh yes, boo, belly grumbling, I am hungry. I'm feeling for some roaches or a nice mouse today. So he hops up on top of a lamppost and he starts looking around. But he can't look so and look so and look so and look so because of that, basically a fused eye. So he has now, his neck can move. But not 360, he can move 270, so almost all the way around.
Right.
So he can stay still like that and he can pan like a security camera looking for food. So he doesn't have to take energy and keep turning, just that. And when doing so now, with a human being, if your chin goes past your shoulder, you'll break your neck. Okay, that's why you see in the movies, they jump out of the helicopter, sneak up behind the guard and just do that and they fall down. Right? A bit dramatic, but it's basically true that if this goes past there, you will die because you can't breathe and stuff like that.
Yes.
They have a special valve in their throat and their trachea that allows it to turn without crunching and shutting off the air supply. So they can hold their head like that almost all the way around and breathe normally and fine. That is how they adapted for their life. So he's going to stay on top of that light pole, sometimes for hours. He's not going to waste energy flying. Flying takes energy, moving a lot takes energy. So he's just moving that head. Was that something? And you see, he turned and looked at me there. They also have amazing hearing. So the shape and that sort of disc on their face allows the sound. So it's like someone talking to you and you didn't really hear and you do so, what you say? So it draws that sound in, yes. Again, vocalizing because humans are speaking. And based on where he hears the sound, he will focus his attention and then he can swoop down and grab with his mighty talons. Oh, I have him on a short leash. So even if he flops, he can't come your way. So I have him here, literally under my thumb. Okay, so.
He's a pretty significant wingspan, actually.
Yes.
For his body size.
Yes, because owls have the ability to fly silent. Imagine sticking up on a mouse.
The silent flying is because of the big wings, not because of the amount of feathers.
It's a whole combination of factors. the big wings, so they don't have to beat fast like a hummingbird. A hummingbird, you can hear a hummingbird. A hummingbird passes you, sometimes you duck because you swear it's a plane coming to you.
Heavy
right?
wind.
With those tiny wings, because it has to move very fast. But with these, he can more float. He's almost like a kite. And the feathers have serrated edges that allow the air to pass through, and he doesn't beat and make that whoop, whoop, whoop sound. So they have all these little adaptations naturally that allow them to hunt. So a lot of times when they are damaged and their flight pattern becomes irregular, they will die. Because if every time you go after a mouse, he hears you coming, he's going like, oh gosh, you again? Steps aside, you miss.
So what's their lifespan?
Up to 15 years.
Oh, so it's 4 to 15.
Yeah.
Hopefully 20.
Yeah, they believe it can go much, much further. Some claim in New Jersey to have some a bit older than that. They do better in captivity in terms of longevity than in the wild, because there's so many negative factors that influence their life and their longevity in the wild.
So
other owls eat them. Other snakes eat them. People hit them. They're hit by cars. We've got 2 already that was stuck in the grill of a car. One came from Rio Claro, one came from Sandy Grande.
Whoa.
We had one, he was blind. We had to call him Jack Sparrow. He was struck by a maxi on the Valencia stretch. And it all ties back into humans. And here's the link. Because of what they eat, humans contribute to their demise. So when you eat that KFC in the car and you toss the skin outside, saying that dog ate that or biodegradable, at night the roaches swarm all over that. Now remember 6 o'clock he wake up and he's looking around and he look, oh, look at all those nice roaches there at the side of the road. So he's on this side, the KFC with the roaches on that side. So he flies and the maxi hits him, pop.
Ooh.
Broken neck, broken back, broken wing, head trauma, eventual death. So this is what happens. And that only happens with owls, it happens with a lot of other animals, including dogs.
Yeah.
A lot of dogs and cats get struck because we bait them to the side of the road by throwing that organic. You can get rid of it. It's a bone, it's just a this. It's so hard. Keep it in your car, take it home, put it in the bin.
This would be the amount of dead animals I would have seen
Yeah,
on my way to where I was going.
I'm not even sure why. I saw quite, because I come from Central and I go down to South, so I run the highway and I've seen at least 4 on either side, northbound and southbound.
Yes.
And it was a bit, a bit taken aback.
The other morning coming down, coming up the road, I saw one on the side of the road. It was, and it doesn't look nice.
Well, they had DART. I think they brought it back, but
They had something?
DART. They had a crew called DART, Dead Animal Removal Team. And their job was to remove these animals before they blew up, literally. Because it's swell. You see it one day it's knocked down, it's fresh blood, and the next day it's bigger, and by the 3rd day it's really big. And but we have our dead animal removal team for wildlife, which is the black vulture. And sadly, people persecute them and don't appreciate what they do. But they prevent the spread of diseases and a whole lot of other yucky things that we don't want in our environment. Nobody pays the so-called kobo. All right, and the reason I say so-called because one day we will bring a black vulture on and go through. In fact, that's how Wild Wednesday started. The first guest on Wild Wednesday a while back was Chase, the Trini vulture, or what Trini's called a kobo. And we'll get into his story when he comes on, and he'll be able to tell his own story. But all these animals, they do little things. The earth is diverse and so many things going on. So who controls this and who controls that? And I don't like bats. Bats eat thousands of mosquitoes each night. Take away the bats, and you know what's going to happen to us? Mosquitoes is one of the deadliest animals in the world.
Yes.
It's between mosquitoes and flies for killing people. After people, of course.
Yes.
But after that, it's mosquitoes and flies. But you don't like the frogs. You don't like the bats. These, you don't like the lizards. People vex these lizards come in your house and they mess up the place. I said, isn't that better than dengue?
But I think it's the point you can like them, but you still have to respect them.
Yeah, well, a lot of people translate they don't like into often violent and negative activity. And that is where the problem comes in. So they will see the lizard, they don't like it, and they will bop it.
I don't mind the lizard because the lizard goes after the insects, and I prefer the lizard over the insect.
No, I mind the lizards. I'm sorry. I can't be around them. But I will not hit them. I can't hit them, but I can't. Can't be around them.
So, Mr. Mead, I actually want to ask a question. So this owl I saw in my backyard, and I'm just curious to know What type of owl is this? I know we're talking about the tropical screech owl, but this owl, I mean...
That's one of our future guests. That is a pygmy owl.
Oh.
The smallest owl in Trinidad and Tobago and the second smallest owl in the entire world. That is also known as a jumbie bird.
It looks like a
That
jumbie.
is the truth.
It's
Well,
scary.
when you meet it, it'll be the cutest thing in the world. They're really amazingly cute.
But they're like about the same size as India.
Well, the picture, no, he's about half the size.
Oh.
He's tiny. But
wow. Yeah, no, the picture looked like it didn't do it justice because it looks huge.
wait, that's a tiny leaf on possibly a ficus tree or something like that there, and the leaf is bigger than him. He is, you just, that look, he has that look, I'm big, they do that to scare away people and predators and so on. I'm big and I'm bad. And that's part of the reason that they do the rocking motion to I'm big, I'm bad. You know.
It was, I believe it was when my mom took this picture, so he looks like he's just like, why are you watching me? Like, why are you taking a picture of me?
And strange enough with that bird has, he's a reverse. He is not nocturnal, he is crepuscular.
I did not know, this is news to me, I did not know that there are non-nocturnal
they're
owls.
they're fully diurnal owls. They're nocturnal owls and they're crepuscular. The crepuscular ones would come out at dusk and dawn. Because that's when a lot of insects and their food are transitioning. So early in the morning, stuff are going back in, or in the night, dusk to dawn, a lot of stuff is coming out. So he just uses the peak time to get his food. So a lot of times the food, that's all after you sleep and so on there, food is going to determine how you are.
Is that something that they figured out on their own, or is that just, I mean, nature, that's just how it happened?
It would have to be that way from literally probably millions of years ago.
Right,
you know,
so they just figured out.
Everything works with, you know, and adaptation. Everything has to adapt. If you can't adapt, you will become a dinosaur. In every aspect of life, always remember that. You do not want to be a dinosaur. You can't go out there and really see them because they couldn't adapt. But a lot of other creatures who are here have found a way to adapt. And you see stories about the dolphins in a particular part of the South Seas that they use a sponge, and only a certain part, they use a sponge on their nose to go after food among stinging anemone and corals. The sponge protects them from getting stung. Anybody trying it without that sponge, so they pick up the sponge and they hold it on their nose and they go in there after certain food that they normally wouldn't get. That's adaptation. We have monkeys down here who would smash open fruits to get the grubs inside. That's adaptation. They would leave the fruit to rot. And as the fruit rots, the flies come. They don't want the flies, they don't want the fruit. But what do the flies lay? Eggs that turn into little maggots. And that's what they love. That's high protein for them. So every aspect of life, there's an adaptation and a way for things to happen. And the more we learn about that, is the more we learn how we can improve our lives. So how does this owl help you every day? Have you traveled? I'm sure you like to travel.
Yes,
What's the furthest you've been?
The US.
The US, right. Okay, and you took a plane, I would imagine. And that plane, sometimes afterwards, it can be a bit annoying. You know, I know what it was like when I flew to Europe on a plane. It was like, wow, 6 hours, when is this thing going to finish? Imagine planes were much worse 20, 30 years ago because they didn't have the technology to make it more comfortable for humans. So they do something called biomimicry in engineering. They've studied the animals, how they fly. How did we learn to fly? Mimicking the birds and what they do, and they lift up their wings and so on, and replicated it and duplicated it. But they're also now learning to quiet flight, because that's what makes you so tired and jet lagged after a long flight. The noise also, because you're hearing this constantly, those big engines and so on. So they've figured out how to quiet engines and to make planes more efficient, to save fuel, bring costs down and so on, from learning from the animals. So biomimicry is something really amazing going forward, and in so many aspects and so many animals that we're learning from. And soon the aches and pains, which will, I'm not calling it on you, but you know, we all get our aches and pains as we go forward in life. I'm up there already, so I'm feeling it here. I remember this time when I fall down and bounce here in football and this in volleyball. It's coming back and reminding me, hey, remember this? It didn't go away, it's getting worse now. Bats, for example, that so many people don't like. Such an important animal, because bats, their bones actually bend when they fly. Think of if your bones could have bent a little bit. You
That's
wouldn't
incredible.
have that. Yeah. So they're studying all these things, and they're going to figure out ways not to make a bat man, you know, but why is that possible and how that can be employed for human use to make us, you know, less painful, less pain in our lives as we age and so on, from osteo, you know, arthritis and all this, and rheumatoid arthritis. So there's so much going on, and it only comes if we have them around and we study them and we learn from them in so many ways.
So does owls, I mean, he looks very gentle, very sweet, but how do they defend themselves, or do they have, can they attack people, what is their defense mechanism?
Their defense mechanism mainly is what you see. So we like this perch because imagine this bird on this perch in the night. This is bark.
Yes.
I think this is from a hog plum and a mango tree and something like that there. And I think this one is cedar. He blends in, his coloration. In the night, when you will hear him, so as I say, he's the most commonly heard owl, not the most commonly seen. When he's on a tree,
he blends in perfectly.
Blends in perfectly, especially in the dark, twilight and dark and so on like that. So you would hear him on his call, and my daughter, I say, yes, I hear that, but I never see the bird. Yep, you don't see it. So that is their main defense. If you don't see me, you can't get to me. You can't attack me. Leave me alone. Not too many things will really attack them that they can really defend themselves against. The pygmy, when it comes on, he has a couple spots behind his head that looks like he has eyes. What that does is makes him look bigger. So if you see the tiny eyes in front, you say, okay, there's a small animal I can take. But if it's those big spots, I mean, if the eyes are so big, I mean, the animal that big, let me leave that alone. And that is actually one of the most common forms of defense in the wildlife. So you have the owl butterfly that has, you know, big eyes and so on. So how many animals mimic that? Ocelots, eyes, they mimic that to throw off their potential predators. You know, leave me alone, I'm big. And they're like, nah, too big, let me move along. And so on like that. There, even people, you see the eyes and you're like, you're running through the bush. And the owl is like, got him, but I'm safe. But his talons, what they do, what the killing tools are their feet or their talons. So on a mammal, their claws. On a bird, their talons. So he's on my hand there. And if you got able to, he has talons. And that's what he would grab. The three in the front would keep the animal from escaping, and the one in the back is called helix. That would sort of pierce it, going through, puncturing the animal, incapacitating it, and then he would use his cute little sharp beak to rip them apart and eat them. Be it a roach or locust, you know, love to see them eat mice.
Can I hold him like that, or does that hurt?
No, not in his instance, because he is an ambassador. His nails have been filed.
Okay.
Because he doesn't need to go out there and kill anything, and to make sure that he doesn't harm anyone, either his handlers or the public. They're filed down.
So India will never be sent back to the wild?
No, what we hope is that we do get, India is a foster parent.
Okay.
And this is how we are now able to get the other owls. Like we just released not too long ago about 3 of them into the bird sanctuary. And they are very wild, and they got a chance, they just took off. India taught them to be wild. Even though he isn't that wild himself, he knows, he has developed and he knows the language. And with them seeing an owl feeding, seeing an owl hunting, they learn it like, okay, look, Dad's doing it this way, let's do it this way. You know, and he would actually kill and sometimes even leave on the perches, and they go. So it's looking at yourself, your type, your species work, and you understand how you are supposed to work. Barring that, what we have to do a lot of times is, besides limited time contact with our patients for rehab, sometimes we have to make masks. So you wear a hoodie and a mask that looks like an owl or a cornbird or, you know, barn owl, whatever it is, so that when they see food coming, they don't see human, you know, pretty lady or young man putting food, they see their own species. So that is the relation. That's how they create that relation. So we've learned now how to prevent imprinting.
Is that the only negative factor about domestication?
Well, it's not even domestication. That will take about 5,000-6,000 years. Imprinting, well, the problem is, okay, for example, in New Mexico, in the University of New Mexico, there was a young lady who was attacked by a red-tailed hawk. And it's because someone had the hawk, imprinted it, and then released it. So he thinks he's, you know, a human. So he's on campus on a tree, and then a lovely young lady walks by, and he goes down first. He flies down in front of her, and he's doing his dance, like, hey, look at me. Hey, I like you, look at me. And she's like, this crazy bird walks around him and goes away. And he jumps in front of her, look at me, I'm doing my dance, and waving his tail and doing his colors. And she walks past him again. He's like, well, you're not taking me on? I'll give you, come on. Give me some attention. He flies and he hits her in her head. Now she's running and screaming because a bird is flying at their head.
Yeah.
You know, even if a fly flies at your head here in Trinidad, people freak out. So imagine a big hawk coming at you. And she got away, and it happened to quite a few of the young ladies on the campus. And when they made a report, and then they brought in someone to figure it out, and they caught the bird, they said, okay, this bird was imprinted. It thinks he's a person, and they're very chatty, and to the point where they can be annoying sometimes. Some of the more chatty birds will just keep going at you, and you cannot do anything because this bird just wants to talk to you all the time, or calling for you for food and stuff like that, or just companionship. So imprinting takes the bird out of its element quite a lot. This bird isn't severely imprinted because of the time it spends in the cages and around the other ones, but it still has that quality that if it goes out there, it may come by your home, sit by your window, and now you're freaking out that every time you open your eyes in the morning, these two eyes are looking at you, trying to come in your house, that sort of thing. So it creates a different element of the human-wildlife conflict that we should not really be creating. If the animal is imprinted, its place is definitely not out there in the wild unless you can rewild it. There's a process, well, parrots, that can happen because parrots live very long and they're very intelligent. They can be rewilded and put back in the wild. So that's what we do in a lot of parrots, that people who have had from since a baby, and after a year they can't stand it anymore, we rewild them, get them back into the wild.
Are his feathers textured enough to help him in the scratching that he's doing all the time?
No, I think just now he was he was picking at the ankle.
Yeah, but when he goes under his feathers, like when he goes to scratch under his feathers.
Grooming himself. They have a gland right above their butt. It's like a chicken. Just imagine chicken on a rotisserie, right? When it passes through. What they call the butt is not that little gland. That's what's the name? Ophidial gland. It produces oil. And they reach back there and they put their beaks on it, and the oil comes out, and they now use that now to groom and preen their feathers to make sure the feathers only work when they're aligned properly. So when they get ramful and fussle, you hold them, the feathers go like that. And then they take the thing and they groom it and they come all straight and they align. That gives them the maximum amount of lift. So birds and so on preen and groom themselves all the time using that oil gland. Yeah. So you'll see him doing that, you know, and then if he's moving like that, then the thing is anyway, he's like, move out of my way, you'll try to lift it off and so on.
What's that on his nose? Is it a little red mark or some mark on the corner of his nose there? Is it like a...
That is actually, well, his beak, above his beak is his hair. That is actually part where, and if you look there, he has his little nostrils in there. So they're pretty much like us to a certain extent there, right? So instead of lips and so on, they have the beak and they have their nasal capacity above there. So it's always good to observe that. We have to observe that all the time. Yes. Any discharge from that area could mean an infection, illness, and it'll have to be addressed. They do get respiratory infections just like us. In fact, most of our viruses and flus come from avian creatures, right? So right now with the bird flu in the US, you know, the world is starting to panic slowly, you know, and, you know, it's sadly is the part where I get to say, I keep telling all of this, I keep telling all of this. There is avian influenza that is in the Americas. When we say the Americas, we're talking about from Canada all the way down to the Falkland Islands. And we are just a little dots in between there. And the birds fly over our islands, they migrate to our islands. Right now we have a lot of migrants here. Okay, so the Trinis from Brooklyn and so on went back up after Carnival. The birds are still here. They've been here since October, right? Next month, when it starts to turn spring, back in the temperate regions, they will go back up there. So we have ospreys, we have peregrine falcons, we have all different types of warblers, we have all different types of seabirds right here in Trinidad. They're not being checked and scanned for temperature and so on when they come down. So they could quite possibly bring the avian flu to our shores. So we must always be mindful when you see birds on the ground. One, it's good to call us, call the authorities and report it, because that bird may be the indicator of what is going on here in Trinidad. And while you do not care about the bird, you care about chicken. Chicken is Trinidad, and Trinidad is chicken. We are one of the largest consumers of poultry in the world per capita. So we can't do without chicken. So if our poultry industry takes a hit, we're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah. Well, I think we do have to come to a close this morning for Wild Wednesday. But before we close, I want to see Jada hold this bird.
No,
I want to see Jada, and I'm sure our viewers also want to see Jada hold this bird. So, Mr.
As far as you
Bede.
don't like anteaters, you don't like birds. What do you like, Jada?
Exactly. Come on, Jada. It's a bird.
I barely like humans.
You really like humans? Well, newsflash. Guess what you are?
A human.
There you go. So you know what they say, right? Who sang the song? Like yourself. Like yourself.
Come on, Jada.
Okay. So all right. So since Jada won't do it,
Naomi.
just reach out with a finger. Okay. India is quite the ambassador, right? Hold on it. Hold on there, India. Hold on there. You keep seeing the pretty right there. Back right there you go. And you can draw it back towards you. I'll keep the end here.
Hi, India.
There you go. Right. Jada, put the book down, please. Please. You're on TV. People are seeing you. There you go.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Hey, Jada.
Hi, India.
Remember, India has been trained for the past 4 years. This is what he has done. He's probably met more than 155,000 people.
He's my first owl.
So, okay.
Right.
But, so we, like I said, we have to come to a close this morning, and I will let India and I will close off the show. Yeah? All right. So I'm going to leave you with this quote from Maya Angelou. It reads, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better."
Mm-hmm.
I love that quote.
I'm sure the wise owl will agree.
Yes. So that brings us to the end of yet another program. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay inspired. We'll see you again next time right here on AM Prime. Bye-bye.
WESN.
Win a brand new ride for Christmas in a 3-car raffle organized on behalf of Queen's Royal College. First prize is a luxurious, fully loaded big ride Ford Ranger. Draw date Saturday, December 20th at the school. Tickets only $100. All proceeds for the further uplifting of the school. Tickets available from teachers, parents, alumni, and of the school. Also nationwide at Smart Liquor Palace, Dingle Mountain Main Road, Shamir, Uncle Beto, Santa Cruz, Better Deal Supermarket, Cunupia, and Aranguez, Khan's Liquor, Dingle Mountain Main Road, Ramsing Sports, Chaguanas and Cuba, Bobby's Barbecue Wrap, Mirage Supermarket, Sangre Grande, West B Supermarket, Dingle Mountain and Tacarigua, Seals Bar, San Fernando, Payless Hardware, Dingle Mountain Main Road, Don's Roti, Pitti Valley, Mirage Westside Arima, Western Pharmacy, next to St.